America.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
here's a show that I've watched. It must be 7 years on Foxtel. Like, I'm probably wrong, but I remember. I'm sure it was 7 years ago that I
Yeah.
was watching Blokesworld
It's
for the
been going
first
for
time, and it had
14.
already been on. Okay, wow.
Yep. 14 years he's been going for.
Oh, it's a crying shame, mate. Well, these guys are, and yourself, you know, you're in it too.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, well, it's a success. I mean, you know, it's everything about it, and you'll relate to this, everything about being in Blokesworld is almost exactly the same as being in a band. And, you know, every band that you meet who you'll go and see a show of and pay less than 30 or 40 bucks, they got day jobs. You know, that's the weekend that's when they're pursuing their art and their passion or their hobby. And, you know, there's just not enough money in that to be full time. And it's the same as Australian television, you know.
wow, I'd even question though that being in a band is better. When you think about it, all that editing. Well, no, when you think of, you know, I call this cover band the greatest second job in the world.
Yeah.
We can not rehearse all week, show up. Basically, I'm away from home for 6 hours, 4 hour set,
Yep.
come home, couple of hundred in the pocket.
Yeah,
All right,
there's a bit of silver lining there though, because if you've got a gig, right? Say you've got a gig, 9:00 start at, I don't know, Wallaby Tavern. Where are you playing?
Oh, g'day, yeah, 8:30 technically.
Okay, on 8:30 on a Friday afternoon, Wallaby Tavern. I remember that gig exactly. It was probably 2 years ago since I was in a band that did that gig.
Yep.
I was working in Southport. I had to leave work. Had to sort of sneak off at 3:45, drive home to Helensvale, hook up the trailer with the PA in it. And I'm lucky. I had my own PA sitting in a trailer, sitting in the garage, ready to hook up and go. And I know that was a luxury because a lot of other dudes have got to like load their van and whatever.
Yep.
Okay, so you do that. You get going. You travel down the M1 and it's an extra half an hour because of the traffic that time of the day. You pull up outside Wallaby Tavern and you kind of mount the curb because there's nowhere to park up there. And then you sort of excuse your way past all the tradies that are there on their fourth or fifth beer, and you know, you duck up. And do they still have the waitresses there? Anyway, moving on. And you know, and you set up. You got to be set up by 7 because you got to allow at least an hour for stuff to go wrong. You know, flat tires, broken cables, things not working. Setting up a band just takes time. And when things go wrong, that takes time. And so, you know, your day started at 4 p.m. And at the other end of the night, you're ringing out at 12:30, your last song.
Yep.
Have a chat to some punters. There goes 20 minutes, half an hour. So it's 1 o'clock. Then you start packing up. There goes another hour, 2 o'clock.
Yep.
Then you start driving home, and you probably have to drop someone off home. By the time you're in bed, and it's not so bad these days. You still have to have a shower when you get home, but you used to have 2 showers when they used to smoke inside pubs.
Yeah.
Because you would come home reeking, and so you're in bed maybe 3:30, 4 in the morning. And so that's an 11, 12-hour work day. And, you know, not knocking it, I did it for years and I loved it, you know. Wouldn't have changed a thing, but that's just your work day. That doesn't count all the hours you put in learning songs, all the hours you spend negotiating with, you know, the guys in your band about what songs you're going to play and getting them to play it and getting them to learn it, and, you know, everything, all the money you spend on the gear that you buy and that sort of stuff. You know, the hourly rate for being a muso is, it doesn't pay. If you do it really well, it's a good bit of pocket money. And if you sort of pursue the wedding side of things, I think you can actually make a decent hourly rate at it. But it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
You know,
It's definitely not your number one job.
well, you can
Which
get
is kind
more.
of what I'm getting at, like with you guys as you'd have to call it your second job. If you've got a daytime gig and Blokesworld going out. I love what you say. If you look up, anyone listening to this, look up Blokesworld 2016 on YouTube.
Yep.
The first thing, and you would have edited this together.
Yeah, well, this is really exciting actually because we're 3 episodes into our new 2016 season, and so we got this just absolutely awesome band, Rocket Train from Brisbane. They came in, recorded a theme song, and like I don't know about you, but I miss TV theme songs. You know, like all the TV shows used to have theme songs, and now they don't. So we made this theme song, big intro sequence that just explains exactly what the show is because we've gone to a new channel. And so we got this whole new audience that we didn't have before. Man? It's on TV for Me, which is it's one of the Channel 7 spin-off channels. And it's for 21 hours a day, they play sort of infomercials and stuff, but for 3 hours a night, they play shows, sort of shows like ours, independent kind of shows. Because this will blow everyone's mind too. We actually pay for that airtime.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're expected to get your own sponsors and you pay for that.
Exactly,
Would it be something about... Oh, actually, I don't want to blow it. I was in production to make this other show for what's it called, the channel on Foxtel?
Aurora?
Aurora.
Yeah, we're on Aurora as well.
Okay, something like $500 an
episode, Aurora's about that, I think. Yeah, and it varies,
And you get that. So then you look at all the 4-wheel drive TV shows, going, okay, I understand how you do it.
Yeah, they're all HD TV, which is Harley Davidson TV. Everything you watch on TV is being paid for by someone, because it's not like it used to be. Advertising doesn't cover the costs anymore, so you pay for airtime. The problem we've got at the moment is that the better we make the show look, the more the channels think, oh, you've got money,
right?
So we'll charge you more, which is...
Charge.
Yeah, and meanwhile they're off buying, alligator hunters and stuff like that to put on the rest of the time.
Yeah.
And
it's a load of dogs, like YouTube advertising. You could get, it was explained to me recently just how you have to be a Justin Bieber to really make just how many views you really need.
Yeah, if that's your business model, then come up with a different business model. But no, you can't.
I'm starting to cry here.
No, I don't know. Well, that's the thing,
I was thinking about cover bands and this, and damn, man, we work what?
Yeah, but none of this would be possible if it wasn't for the YouTube and if YouTube's sort of thing, and if it wasn't for the technology and all that. You can't just get sad that the old ways of rotting people don't exist anymore. It's liberating. It lets us do what we're doing. How else can two guys with day jobs produce, an hour of TV a week? It's the same technology that has changed the industry lets us do it. Right. Yeah, it wouldn't have it any other way. There's no way I'd want to go and work on a show where I was just a tiny cog in a big machine.
Yeah, but the money.
Or
the old school money. What I'm saying? The old school money, the staff parties, the feeling, because I do a lot of TV advertising.
Yes, so I'm familiar with your work.
Okay, well let's not chat about it, but that's filmed by Jenny Webber from Channel 9.
Okay,
the production, the commercial production company there
that does it for the channel. Yeah,
does it for all the station? No, does it? We actually film it using their production company.
Sure. Yep.
And hey, it's just like it was the 80s, in my opinion. Get invited to the state of origin. If you're in that company, there's some great perks. They're into. If that was your number one gig,
Yeah, for sure. But the thing is that whole system is currently in the process of being dismantled. The tools are just too good. The new stuff that people are using. To not use it. You don't need a $100,000 camera on your shoulder anymore. You can get the same result from a $1,000 DSLR. And it's, from a business point of view, these guys are all shrewd businessmen. They're not going to pay more than they need to get a show made for much longer,
And everyone's talking about, geez, do we need to be on TV? Like, someone proposed this thing to me the other day, 1-minute videos.
Yep.
And have them. It's all about these bloody phones, man. Like, look at me. Searched up Blokesworld on my phone.
Yep.
I don't even watch the TV anymore.
It's
and really taken over my life.
Yeah, we actually publish Blokesworld on YouTube because you can actually watch it in high resolution and a better bit rate than you can on TV.
Yeah, and when you want it.
That's right.
Exactly the time you want to see it.
That's right. And so, we actually broadcast on over the air, and because it has to compress it so much, not just the resolution, but the actual bit rate, excuse me, it just doesn't look as good, but it's available and everyone's got it. So, it's
a catch-22, but man, because, gone are the days where you'd be forced to watch the goodies.
That's right.
You were forced to watch these 4 channels, maybe 5, and that's what was fed to you, and everyone was talking about the same thing, and we're all laughing at school about monkey magic, you know. So now that it's so good that it's in your hand, yes, but I'm on Facebook all the time. Or, everything is there for you to search, but because it isn't coming in all the time,
I don't know, but you still got a TV in your lounge room, and you still want to plonk down on the lounge and watch something without having to, click every few minutes. And so, I mean, that's why I love Netflix. I love what's happening with sort of on-demand delivery and all that sort of thing, and we're chasing all of that stuff, in other countries as well. So it's a transition phase, and we've got fingers in both pies.
Well, we're just like this podcast show. I talk to everyone.
You sure do. Just can I interrupt for a minute? You're like a connector for the Gold Coast, and you probably don't even realise it. So last week, I was listening. You were talking to Corey DeLuca.
Yes.
And you said, do you remember what you said? You said, I was wondering where I knew Corey DeLuca, and it turned out he ran a studio on Ashmore.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm sitting there going, and my mouth is moving, and your words are coming out because that's exactly the connection I made listening to your podcast. I'm like, oh, that's that Corey. But you know why this freaked me out so much? Because I'd been in touch with Corey like 3 days before about getting his band onto Blokesworld. Wow. So I've put out a call, on his Facebook group for bands and said, hey, we want music for Blokesworld. Who's up? And got smashed, by the way, by like all these ridiculous, awesome bands. Yeah. And Corey's band was one of them. And so I'm like,
brilliant.
That's that Corey.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, we used to rehearse in that studio in a cover band called Ruckus back in the day.
With a K?
Yeah.
R-U-K-U-S?
No, C-K-U-S. But we had this
I think
logo.
I know your logo. I think, yeah.
It was like one of those cartoon fights with instruments hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that.
You remember the band?
Mate, we would have bumped into each other a million times.
I'm sure we have. And that's the thing. I would, if it wasn't for your podcast, I wouldn't know any of this. Right. But, the fact is we live in a really kind of smallish place and we actually all know each other.
Yeah.
And that's, been listening to your podcast. Everyone keeps popping up. The guy you had the week before, Grief.
Troy
Cochran. Yeah. Yep. So I was listening to that and I was listening about the event coming up down in Grafton, the mini bikes. Yeah. And that sounds awesome. So I'm on the phone to Ada and said, have you heard about this? And he said, yeah, actually, I was just on the phone to Troy the other day.
Brilliant.
Unfortunately, I think we've got something else on that weekend. But, there's all these connections.
I'll film it for you.
Will you?
I can, mate.
Oh, send a camera down?
Oh, I've got a GoPro.
Hey, man, we should half our show on GoPros.
I'll definitely try and do something for you because I love that, the fact that mini bikes are coming back and these guys are taking such fun. It's in the back of a pub.
Yeah.
2 days in the back of a pub that serves steak and there's a mini dirt bike race. Isn't that cool?
It just sounds like an awesome week. And it sounds like exactly the kind of weekend that we go to every second week, It's and most of them are further out in the country than that, but that's such a good thing to be happening so close.
Yeah. Well, actually, what I was getting at, right? So I'll talk to everyone. It dawned on me. It dawned on me later once I got a few of these shows happening, which is exactly how it's a good thing that Ado is going to all these events because if you're running a fishing show, you've really just got fishermen. So where Blokesworld is really cool is even if TV is declining, it doesn't really matter because you'll be at a bike race tomorrow. You'll see the crew there, and you've got all that subculture. Will find it, and they'll you get this warm and fuzzy feeling about the Blokesworld brand. So and then you'll next two guys will go to I don't know, like jet skiing thing, right? So you've got like that. So this thing potentially should never stop.
That's
right.
And
it never will. And going back to like what we said before, they got all this. Anyone can make a TV show if they've got someone with a bit of money over there, but they probably won't last as long as Blokesworld. Because I think Ado must be a little bit nuts.
He's insane, and he's really stubborn.
It's his life.
Yeah. He's actually an extremely intelligent guy, and he could have stayed in Sydney, and done an advertising job or whatever, earned his 150, 200 grand a year, and just and lived the same normal life that everyone else like that does, and he chose not to. You might actually